Coming up, we take a look at someone revolutionizing the way he grades.
Then, we take a peek into a major that has a record for sounding good. All that and more coming up on Lazer Update.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Lazer Update. I'm Cameron Schoen.
And I'm Jack Copson. We've only got 2 weeks of classes left here on campus.
We hope that you've been studying and doing final projects as needed.
But for now, let's get into our show for you today.
We kick this show off by looking into one of OCC's more musical majors. While these students might not be belting a chorus or plucking the strings, their job is as important as any for these aspiring artists to sound their best. Lazer Update's own music man, Aiden Mead, has the story.
Many music students here at OCC play live. However, some take a different approach when it comes to being involved in the concerts.
In the first semester, I kind of guide the students through what mics and typicals that are used, and after that then we try to experiment a little bit, right? But we always have a safe setup, so we always get a good recording just in case some of the experimentation doesn't go quite so well. So this is the second year of the recording class sequence. We start applying a little mixing, all the different terminology and things like that, but in a newer context. Instead of studio recording, it's live recording.
I guess my favorite thing would be the actual getting hands-on with the job. So running tables is probably my favorite thing to do.
If you're interested in joining one of the sound recording classes here on campus, stop by Whitney 131 to talk to Anthony Vidala or find him in the BMC department. For Lazer Update, I'm Aiden Mead.
Ah, music to my ears. Again, if you'd like to learn more about the sound recording classes and degree, you could talk to Professor Vidala or just go to OCC's website at sunyocc.edu for more.
Many people at OCC don't live on campus. They come from all over central New York and even across the globe. But how exactly do they get here? How do they get around this city? Well, our producer Rob Finger has some answers for us.
Welcome back everyone, I'm Rob Finger and I'm here at the bus stop near Whitney because today I'm asking just one question. How do people get around the city of Syracuse? Well, let's find out.
I drive. Syracuse is one of those weird cities. Everything's so kind of spread out. If I'm not going somewhere real close by, I've got to drive.
On this part of town, I walk everywhere, but the bus is probably my most prevalent way to get around.
I've used public transportation around here because it's pretty readily accessible.
I usually use my Ripstick or Lyft.
I typically just take my car. I just drive around.
Usually I take the bus. Just go right in front of the SRC arena right down there and get in the bus, and it can take me pretty much anywhere in Syracuse.
Well, that'll do it for Pulse of the Campus. Clearly some different ways that people get from place to place. From out here on campus, I'm Rob Finger. Back to you guys.
Seems like driving isn't the only option in this city. Many people choose different ways of getting from point A to point B.
With that, we put a stop sign on our show for a moment, but don't go away, we've got plenty more to come.
Coming up after the break, we'll chat with an OCC professor that's changing the grade and check out one of the hottest events on Unity Day. But first, we'll share some events coming up soon with our campus calendar.
The Council of Clubs is having their bi-weekly meeting on next Wednesday, May 1st. You can stop by and sit down to hear all about what's going on campus and even some upcoming events. It will be held from noon to 1 p.m. in room 301 of Whitney.
And speaking of clubs, the Business Club will have their weekly meeting just below them in Whitney 201 on that same day. You can head down to see what sort of deals and ventures our business inclined are discussing. You're watching Lazer Update. We'll be back after this.
I decided to go to OCC because it was significantly less expensive than other schools and it had a sense of familiarity. My favorite part is the sense of community we have here. I feel like a lot of bigger schools, it's hard to socialize and make friends. It's a pretty diverse campus and a lot of people are pretty understanding. So you never feel like an outcast, which for a lot of schools isn't the case, especially with bigger schools, and that's what I really love about OCC.
My major is mechanical engineering technology. Essentially, it's mostly just using like computer assisted programs and machine tools, heavy machinery. OCC for me, I think it's like a more tight-knit community, so it feels like you're communicating with people who want to be here, and they also are very like kind and courteous. So it's a nice space to be in.
Visit sunyocc.edu to learn what OCC could mean for you.
I chose OCC because I needed more experience with college and wanted to meet new people. OCC means making connections, meeting new people, a community. Students can find clubs, sport events, tutoring. Come to OCC.
Looking to discover the musical talent of OCC? Well, the music department's faculty will be putting on a show all on their own tomorrow. You can tune in by heading over to the recital hall in Academic 2 with the show running from 12:20 to 1:15 p.m.
Not only that, but our very own student wind ensemble will be serenading the audience next Wednesday. They'll be playing at the very same time in the very same Academic 2 recital hall.
Welcome back to Lazer Update. I'm Cameron Schoen.
And I'm Jack Hobson. We thank you for sticking with us through the break. So now, let's get back into the swing of things.
As we speed towards the end of the semester here at OCC, grading is becoming more and more important for both students and faculty. But one man is changing the way that his students are judged on their work. Lazer Update's Jordan Stevens has the report.
Lazer Update's own Becca Porton covered English professor Christian Heisler and his laid-back style of teaching. But today, I'm here to talk to Professor Heisler about another aspect of his classroom environment: labor-based grading.
Labor-based grading is a style of evaluating or grading student work that's based on the labor that they put into it. That if a student is given a certain set of requirements and they meet those requirements, even if they don't meet them exceptionally well, they would get a certain grade. Like in my class, it's a B. So if I assign an essay and I say you have to do these 4 things, if those 4 things are done, a student gets the B. The impact on students since I've adopted labor-based grading has been, I think, a pretty positive one. I think maybe the biggest impact of it has been not even related to the grade, but it makes students feel like this is a class that is designed for them to succeed, as opposed to some of their other courses that professors have set up that it feels like it's an exercise in trying to find ways to make them fail.
Heisler's use of labor-based grading is just one way that he encourages students to succeed. His care for his students is clear, and Heisler says that he just wants his students to know that their best is enough.
Certainly an interesting way of grading work. We'll see if it becomes the standard, but sometime soon. If it's helping students succeed, I give it an A+.
Early this semester, Unity Day played host to many different events and tables for students to get involved with. But one of the hottest events of the day happened later that evening in the Allen Hall Gymnasium. Our producer, Rob Finger, was there to get the inside scoop and dig into this sporting event.
Rob Finger here at the Allen Hall Gymnasium, where we're going to play some volleyball. It's Unity Day, and tonight 4 teams will go head-to-head for the Unity Day Championship. Now, let's get to the action on the court.
Instead of the aforementioned 4 teams, the turnout at the tournament was double what the organizers expected, necessitating an extra tournament round. But it was teams 2, 3, 5, and 7 who made it out of the first round, going on to the semifinals. The 2 games of the semis were played to 15 points, with Game 1 being played between Team 2 on the right and Team 5 on the left. From the get-go, it was Team 2 that took a big lead early, but a late-game resurgence from Team 5 gave us pause for thought, but Team 2 put them away with ease, winning out 15-6, sending them to the finals. In Game 2, it was Team 3 on the left and Team 7 on the right. Through its entirety, it was a close, back-and-forth game, but for the experienced Team 3, it was the little mistakes that cost them, and the volleying capabilities of Team 7 was what won the day. Team 7 took the victory 15-12, punching their ticket to the championship. The championship game was to 25 points, with Team 7 on the right keeping pace with the scoring power of Team 2 on the left. But it was ultimately that power and a few trick plays that sealed the deal for Team 2 to win it all, 25-20.
We faced adversity and we were down at some point, but then we came back up and we did good. So I'd say teamwork for sure.
But through it all, win or lose, it was the fun that all the players had that they will always remember.
Well, fans, that'll do it from the 2024 Unity Day Volleyball Tournament. I'm Rob Finger. We'll see you next time.
Hopefully this tournament becomes a regular occurrence and stays popular with the students, so we get to see many Unity Day champions to come.
So we'll head towards our break one more time here on Lazer Update. Don't touch that dial.
Because coming up after, we get a report on something that has plagued this city since it got its name. But for now, we'll stick to sports as we give you the latest sports scores. Brought to you by Lazer Sports Network.
The Lazers baseball team has had themselves a field day on Tuesday, clobbering the TC3 Panthers 18 runs to 7. Both Jake Corey and Jake DePalma were able to send one apiece over the wall, with the other 16 runs being batted in.
And the softball team wasn't so lucky, falling to the Monroe Tribunes 4 runs to 2. Aubrey Freyer and Riley Broadwell were the only ones to bat in runs, with Broadwell pitching all 7 innings and getting 9 strikeouts.
And finally, the women's lacrosse team were up to their usual dominance as they hammered the Finger Lakes Lakers by a score of 27-0. Maddie Mano got her second shutout of the season, and that win brings them up 9-0.
You're watching Lazer Update. We'll return after these messages.
The thing that caught my attention first about OCC is when you are on campus, you forget that you're at a community college and you think that you're at a 4-year institution. What I love about OCC the most is the diverse student population. Every semester it's different. The student experience and what they are bringing to campus is really what makes this experience unique. It really has broadened my scope in ways I can better help and serve students. I think that has really made me grow as a professional.
OCC has helped me not only financially, but also socially.
Well, it's very nice to have a school like this that has a dormitory, and I wanted to put myself into a position where I can kind of surround myself with, learning.
OCC has helped me getting started in college life, technically, also in my adult life. So I'm particularly making a big step for myself, and I'm starting to make choices for my own.
I've been able to make a lot of new friends since I came here.
I found that by going to OCC, it allowed me to enter in programs that would allow me to focus on my personal life and my work. I think most professors here do want to see you succeed. All faculty here is definitely more than happy to help, with any scheduling or future planning or, in regards to grades or anything like that. I find most professors are more than willing. I could realistically recommend anyone to attend.
Now we'll look forward to this upcoming Super Sunday for Lazers Athletics. The baseball team will take to the diamond again at high noon as they take on the Erie Cats at the Onondaga Baseball Complex.
The Lazers softball team will look to bounce back as they take on SUNY Broome Hornets at noon sharp at the Onondaga Softball Complex.
And lastly, the women's lacrosse team will look to make it an even 10 wins as they host the Monroe Tribunes at the Wilbur Field. That one kicks off at 1 p.m.
And if you can't make it to any of these games, you can tune in on the Lazer Sports Network by going to onondagalazers.com and clicking the camera in the top right.
Thanks for sticking with us here on Lazer Update. I'm Cameron Schoen.
And I'm Jack Hobson. We've got just one more segment for you today, and it's an issue that's been in central New York for over 2 centuries now.
This city has had its name for over 200 years, but there's a question that nobody has seemed to answer in that time. Is it pronounced Syracuse or Syracuse? Well, Lazer Update's own Rob Finger will attempt to finally answer that question.
This is Syracuse, a smaller city nestled in the very center of the great state of New York. It's home to the famous Niagara Mohawk Building, the Great New York State Fair, and the Museum of the Erie Canal. This city was built upon the salt industry, earning it the nickname the Salt City. But wait a second, if we're talking about names, are we sure that that's even correct? No, not the word, because that's pretty well established. But are we sure that how I just said it is how it's really pronounced?
Truth is, we're a little split. We know it's either Syracuse, the way I just pronounced it, or Syracuse, like its namesake overseas. On that subject, I think it's time for a history lesson. This city had a number of names before adopting its current one. Names like Salt Point, Webster's Landing, and Bogart's Corners, to name a few. Then in 1820, John Wilkinson, the village's first postmaster, tried to register the village for a post office with the name Corinth. But he was rejected on the grounds that there was already a Corinth just north of Albany. So what was he to do? Well, according to the Onondaga Historical Association, the story goes as follows. John Wilkinson was visiting a friend in New York City, but as his friend was not there, he was instructed to wait in his private library. There, Wilkinson found a newer book of poetry on the shelves. He settled on reading a poem titled Syracuse, written by Lord Edward Stanley. The poem was about a Greek naiad named Arethusa, and the story was set in the ancient city of Syracuse on what is now the island of Sicily. In the poem was a description of the city and the surrounding area, with its salt marshes, surrounding hills, and mention of a nearby town called Salina. The similarities were all too apparent to Wilkinson, and upon returning to his little village, he proposed the name, and it was unanimously approved. He got his post office, and we got the name that's been here for just over 200 years. So that's how the name came to be, but how is it pronounced? Well, its namesake city in Sicily is pronounced Siracusa, so that should be it, right? Not exactly. That's the Italian way of saying it, but as any Sicilian will tell you, they do things a little differently than the mainland. In Sicily, they have their own entire language, Sicilian, that has been deemed by Ethnologue as distinct enough from Standard Italian to be considered a separate language. In addition to the city itself being listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the language has also been recognized by them as its own minority language. In Sicilian, the city is known as Sarausa. And so we come back to square one. So then let's look at the region itself. This city is one of the easternmost cities that is recognized as part of the Rust Belt, a string of former industrial cities in the Northeast and Midwest that have since declined and rusted away. In this region, the dialect is commonly referred to as Inland North American English. However, in that grouping, our city is a bit of an outlier. While our city doesn't have words like pop and tennis shoes, it doesn't entirely sound the same either. There's a concept in linguistics called the Northern Cities vowel shift, where words like on start to sound like on. This is where the Midwestern accent comes from. But this city has seen a reversal of that trend as of late, leaving us with our own unique way of speaking that, unfortunately, often gets described as generic. So where does that leave our name? Fact is, we can't decide. Even the people at the OHA were torn on how to say it while I was there. Some people will see the Y and heavily emphasize it, while some just take it in stride. For me, someone born and raised in this very city, I'll always know my home as Syracuse. Now you know how to pronounce Syracuse.
Even though we weren't able to conclusively answer the question, we've got a lot of history behind the name of the place we call home.
Well, that'll do it for this edition of Lazer Update. We've gone through lovely sounds, figures changing the way things are done, and sport in action for the ages.
If you want to see more Lazer Update, head over to our YouTube page at Onondaga's Campus Connection, or just simply scan the QR code on your screen. Big thanks to the crew behind the scenes. You guys are the one that make this all possible. And to you, the viewer, we thank you for watching. I'm Cameron Schoen.
And I've been Jack Hobson.
We'll see you next time on Lazer Update.